think you're smart enough to realize we got a problem here, Houston. Something's going wrong here. You better not blindly believe. You will have your lunch eaten in this world.
For people that for example, that are Muslim, or people that are in different religions, what is your first thing or first step? How do you get people to experience Jesus Christ? What are the things that you feel like the Lord is using you as a vessel for to reach out to people, and how do you think that you can reach out to people so that they can convert and experience Jesus Christ? What are ways that you do that?
Because we're on a university campus, I obviously use the question-answer format. Because we're in a thinking environment where you guys are being challenged, you better study this information and learn it, because you are going to have a test and we are going to grade you. See, because that's the kind of academic environment that you're in, I'm going to adopt the same approach. Sorry guys, we're going to think. And if anybody goes around saying, I believe, and you ask them, why do you believe what you believe? And they say, just because I believe. I think you're smart enough to realize we got a problem here, Houston. Something's going wrong here. You better not blindly believe. You will have your lunch eaten in this world. People will rip you off. And I can promise you, every single one of us is going to die one day. I'm going to die before the vast majority of you, because I'm a lot older than you. That's inevitable. The question is there life after death? And that's a pretty important question for every single stinking one of us. And Jesus Christ was dead, he rose from the dead, and Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies. Now the dude is either psycho or else he's the truth. And you can't just say, I believe in Jesus because I believe in Jesus. No, that is intellectually dishonest. You better read those Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and you better ask yourself, does the evidence point to Jesus being a psycho, or does the evidence point to Jesus being the truth? And I am sick and tired of supposedly smart people saying, well, I reject Christ because all those hypocrites called Christians. I reject Christ because of the Crusades, the Inquisition, and the Salem witch trials. Give me a break. That has nothing to do with who Jesus is. It has to do with what warped people can do. It has nothing to do with Jesus. So now let's get honest. Who was Jesus? What did he teach? How did he treat people? How did he die? And did he rise from the dead, or did he not? And I can promise you, if Jesus Christ rose from the dead, you better put your faith in him. Because the evidence is he's totally reliable. And if he didn't rise from the dead, you better not put your faith in him. It's that simple. And just listen to people. It's scary. Why are you atheist? Well, because some Christians burned me. Well, I'm really sorry that Christians burned you. But that has nothing to do with the question. Who is Jesus? And if you're not going to believe in Jesus, please tell me who or what you're going to believe in. And guess what? The answers that I get to that question are scary. Really scary. Oh, I live to make money. Really? So you're telling me the purpose of life is to make money? Oh no, I live to go to bed with as many good-looking women as I can. Oh really? So you're telling me the purpose of life is to have a thrill from sex? Your nerve endings are going to go dead one day. Sex is not a big enough foundation for your life. Oh, well, I live for a career, to climb the corporate ladder. Really? And do you know what's going to happen one day? Younger bucks are going to take your job from you. It's not a solid enough foundation for you to build your life on that. Oh, I'm an athlete. I live for sports. Well, that's great, and I love sports. But if you think sports are a solid enough foundation to build your life on, give me a break. The elasticity is going to leave your legs the way it's definitely leaving mine. And your athletic career will be over. And if you've built your life on being an athlete, wow. Good luck with that one.
I heard this story from from a bishop. His name was Ricardo Ramirez. When he was ordained a bishop, he was going to have this party, and his grandmother was invited. And 2 or 3 days before, his grandmother arrives, and he asks her, "What have you been doing lately?" And she responds with, "I've been having a good time." What do you do at 90 years old to have such a good time? "Oh, I've been going to funerals." "You've been having a good time at funerals?" "Oh yes, it's where we drink coffee, we tell stories, we meet old friends, we have a great time." And he asks her, "Grandma, how can you have a good time when someone dies?" And she looks at him like square into the eye, like almost serious, like scolding him. And she says to him, "Son, haven't you learned yet that it is a privilege to die?" And in all his years of studying theology and teaching of sermons, he never heard it that way. But then those few weeks later, she had that privilege. She was in a hospital recovering from a heart attack, and her family knew that she probably wouldn't make it due to her age. And during those final days, she kept repeating like this mantra, "Solo quiero ver de a Dios." I just want to see the face of God. And she passed away 2 days. She died like 2 to 3 days later. But during those final days, she was, from what I understand, she was singing. She was happy.
You bet. But why was she happy?
Because it was her. Because she had. Trying to think.
Take your time. Why was she happy? I think you've answered that beautifully.
Thank you.
Remember, she said, "I like to go to funerals because that's where I see my friends, and that's where we drink coffee together, and we connect."
And they tell stories.
And they tell stories. She did not say, "I like to go to funerals because I like to look at the dead body, because I celebrate the dead body." It's not what she said. She said, "I like to go to funerals because that's where people are connecting in a deeper way and celebrating friendship. We're not celebrating the dead body in the casket, are we?" And the second thing I love she said, which is very biblical, is because I know that my dead friend, who obviously put their faith in Christ, is seeing the face of God. That's what Paul writes in Philippians chapter 1. He writes, "For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. If I am to go on living in the body, it will mean fruitful labor for me. Yet what shall I choose? I do not know. I desire to depart and be with Christ, which is better by far." So yes, sir, as Stuart said, death is an enemy, but Christ has beaten this enemy and has promised eternal life to all who trust in him. And he also calls us to drink coffee together, to socialize, to build friendships. And yes, we do that even at funerals, as well as weddings, as well as at the birth of a new child. But no, we don't celebrate death in itself. Death is the antithesis of life. It's the opposite of life. What we celebrate is Christ has beaten death through his death on a cross and his bodily resurrection. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You agree or disagree?
I agree.
You agree. Interesting. Thank you, sir, for raising that difficult issue. Greatly appreciated. You bet.
As long as it's the harm principle, right? As long as you don't harm somebody, live how you want. It's like this guy in the bar said to me once up in Boston. He said, "Hey man, do what you want. You're a pastor, apologist, do what you want, man. As long as you're not like murdering, do what you want, anything." And that's where our culture is at. You know what's so silly about that? Is it's completely subjective when it comes to what harm is. Because he keeps bringing up pornography. And pornography, some would say, is healthy for a marriage. Many would say that. I've read that on Psychology Today before. Others would say it actually is connected to women who get STDs, and it changes a man's outlook on women. Men sometimes look at women, if they're obsessed with pornography, as simply meat, and they're unable to actually socialize with them in a healthy way. So the whole idea of freedom from moral objectivity and just thinking about the harm principle, as long as I'm not harming you, is completely subjective, it's contradictory, and it makes no sense. If there is a God, then there's moral obligations, There are oughts. I ought not to look at pornography. I should not look at pornography because it's going to dehumanize me and my relationships with women. That is a type of ought and should, a moral obligation that helps people understand what not harming somebody is.
Is it possible for your name to be erased from the book of life?
So when the disciples come back after they've casted out demons, and Jesus says, do not be so excited and happy and puffed up about yourselves that you casted out demons and did miracles. Rather understand and be completely joyful and excited about your names being written in the book of life. So no, I do not believe once your name is written in the book of life, I do not believe that ultimately you can lose salvation. Now, that is connected though to that question, once saved, always saved, right? And I believe somebody who has been supposedly saved, the whole idea of once saved, not saved, I believe that person who actually turns away from the faith never legitimately believed. So it's not this idea of, I've been saved so I can do whatever I want, anytime I want, for the rest of my life. It's not that idea. It's based off of Hebrews and John chapter 10. John chapter 10, when Jesus talks about, my sheep will never be removed from my hand, he's not saying, you're saved, now go do what you want, and you'll always be saved. Does that kind of make sense?
So if you're still living in a world of sin,
Yeah.
there's a possibility you were never saved to begin with.
Exactly.
You never accepted salvation.
Right. That's exactly right. Living by cheap grace. I do whatever I want. I mean, is that really honest? You know, Jordan Peterson is an incredibly gifted psychologist who's had a lot of influence on all kinds of universities in our culture today, right? Viral academic. Jordan Peterson says, I will not become a Christian because I could not live a consistently ethical life that someone like Jesus would call me to live. Okay, that's good, in a way. He's being consistent with the worldview of, yes, live in a way that the Bible commands us, the 10 Commandments, how Jesus calls us to love others. But what Jordan Peterson is totally missing is how the Bible is filled from Genesis through Revelation about grace, God's grace, which is we mess up, sin all the time with our thoughts, our words, our behaviors. So we need God, we need Christ-specific forgiveness. And when we get his forgiveness, then we understand. We are new creations, like Paul talks about. The old is gone, the new has come. So live a life dedicated to Christ and live out that great character. But see, if Peterson would catch grace, he could become a Christian. But he's so caught up in, I have to be this perfect person, I could never be this perfect person, and I would call myself a Christian, but I'd be a hypocrite. No, you wouldn't be a hypocrite. You'd have to start to understand where is grace, where is forgiveness, and how does that motivate me to live a life of growth, botanical growth in character, just like the fruits of the Spirit. We are always growing.